Morning and welcome to the South Florida Museum. I want to thank you all for being here with us today. My name is John Quinlan and I am a Vice President on the Museum's Board of Trustees. The board's objective today is to share with the public the results of an extensive review and report finalized by an outside expert following the tragic death of Snooty the manatee, who lived and influenced our lives here at the South Florida Museum for 68 of his 69 years. I want to thank the public and the press for their patience while the board conducted its evaluation. It's been very important to us to work through this process. We're going to provide you all with the full report, and we will take your questions at the end of our brief remarks. Snooty drowned in an underwater area accessible only by an opening in the shelf structure of the manatee pool, which was covered by an access panel. At some point on the night of the July 22nd or the morning of July 23rd, the access panel to the opening came off, and Snooty swam into the opening to the underwater plumbing area. He was unable to get out. You will recall that at the time of Snooty's death, we met with the press and we made a covenant with the community to examine whether or not there had been a failure of physical facilities, whether appropriate policies and procedures were in place and properly followed, and whether there had been any human error involved in this tragedy. As we implemented this examination, the board contracted with James Gesualdi, who is an attorney who specializes in animal welfare issues, and he is the author of a book on animal welfare called Excellence Beyond Compliance. He was engaged to conduct a thorough review to determine what factors contributed to Snooty's death. In addition to his on-site review, he interviewed more than a dozen museum staff, including all of the manatee care team members, key facility staff, executive staff, and our consulting veterinarian who has cared for Snooty for more than 20 years. Mr. Gesualdi reviewed the museum records, and in addition, he reviewed documents, photos, and videos. It was a comprehensive process, and it took significant time to complete, but was absolutely essential to our determination of what happened. It is with the heaviest of hearts that the board confirms that the findings show that Snooty died as a result of a preventable accident. Several factors contributed to this tragedy, and be assured that the board and the executive staff are addressing them all. The factors include deficiencies in record keeping and reporting, breakdown in department and interdepartmental communications, lack of proactive follow-through, and the need for more formalized training of staff. The board analyzed Mr. Gesualdi's report and is working closely with the executive staff to implement a number of changes to refine the best practices as we honor Snooty's life and legacy here at the museum. It's imperative to underscore the fact that the Board of Trustees has the full confidence in the museum's executive staff, including Brennan Basayo, and she is now going to give you some additional details about the significant changes that are underway at the museum. Brennan.
Thank you, John. I want to start by saying that I and the museum staff continue to grieve over the loss of Snooty the manatee. His death was both painful and profound. To us as individuals and us as an organization. Through this review process, we came to understand that mistakes were made. Specifically, the aquarium staff were aware of the panel being askew or loose, or that it was missing screws as early as Sunday, July 16th, a week prior to Snooty's death. Due to breakdowns in record keeping, communication, follow-through, and reporting, some action was taken, but no action culminated in actual repair. On behalf of the museum, I apologize. In addition, those same breakdowns in communication, in reporting, caused us to share information in the 2 days following Snooty's death that was inaccurate, and for that I am sorry. We have made and will continue to make substantive changes operationally and philosophically to address the breakdowns that contributed to the accident. These changes and actions include working with nationally recognized animal care experts to help us reshape our staff and our policies and protocols and put the best manatee care program together for our facility and for the manatee rehab program. We also invited representatives from U.S. Fish and Wildlife and the Manatee Rescue and Rehab Partnership to come look at our habitat and look at our operating procedures and give us constructive feedback and share their best practices as we move forward. In addition, we have also scheduled an aquatic engineer and an aquatic exhibit contractor to come and look at the pool, look at the shelf, and give us recommendations on a structural basis. And we have instituted the following. Changes in staffing have been made. Retraining and cross-training aquarium and facility staff to inspect the habitat has also been done. And from that has come the creation of new dive checklists and new reporting, record keeping, and building a redundancy so that we have a safety net within our operation. We also have new work order system for maintenance and repairs. We are working through the situation with our regulatory agencies, and that is the U.S. Department of Agriculture and U.S. Fish and Wildlife. Our museum is committed, deeply committed, to manatee rehabilitation. We've been doing it for 24 years and cared for Snooty for 68. That's an important piece we play in public education and conservation of the species. We still have 3 manatees in our tank, Baca, Randall, and Gale. Randall is slated to be released over this next month, and then Baca and Gale will be with us until February. They need our care. Please know that we are going beyond simply fixing the issues related to the accident. We want to honor Snooty's legacy by providing as much as we can to the manatee rehabilitation program. Going forward, I am confident that we have put in place changes that will give us the most professional team of staff and volunteers who are committed to the high standards needed to provide high quality work, to benefit the animals entrusted in our care, our museum visitors and students, and the community we serve. And now I would like to introduce Jeannie Kirkpatrick, President of our Board of Directors.
Good morning. This has been a very challenging time for the South Florida Museum family. And we so appreciate the overwhelming support we have had for this community and from the many fans of Snooty around the world. Snooty brought such joy to so many millions of people of all ages. And one of the ways we honor his legacy and continue his legacy is by doing the right thing. Our museum leadership has done an excellent job analyzing the facts to understand what went wrong, and has acted swiftly and responsibly to implement new procedures and restructure staff to make something like this never happen again. We are committed to ensuring that Snooty's voice, the voice of the world's most famous and recognizable manatee, continues to inspire support for manatee rehabilitation, conservation, and education for many generations to come. He was not just a member of the South Florida Museum family. He was a member of my family. I'm sure he was a member of many of your families. And so many families are feeling this loss. So many people feel this loss. And we all will continue to miss him for a very, very long time. In honoring that legacy and celebrating that wonderful life, we invite the public to come here for Memorial Open House at the museum on Sunday, September 10th. We'll all have many memories to share with each other at that time. Thank you.
Okay, so we are now going to be distributing copies of the official report so that you will each have a copy of that report. You can look over it as we are talking, but we'll also begin answering questions now as copies of the report go around.
Question, you said staffing changes have been made. Does that mean there are people that were fired as a result of this?
Out of respect for our employees, we don't make any comments on personnel issues, but we have restructured the staff.
And you said an engineer is going to look at the tank. Do you think some redesigns of the tank, like perhaps removing the shelf, can be done?
I think that's all possible. The Manatee Rehab Partnership team that was down here last week shared that they liked the setup of our tank because it gives different elevations for the animals. And we need to simulate that nearshore environment, which is what that shelf gave us. So we could create different elevations with a different kind of material. We certainly could look at, we are open to looking at different ways to rehab the tank, to provide what the manatees need in a safe environment.
You guys have done a great job over the past couple of decades, but what kind of led to this point where there was this kind of lax? Was it just becoming complacent? What kind of led to this?
I think that we, as a staff, have to really, we're going to embrace a culture of going beyond compliance. And that is in the aquarium as well as within the entire staff. That is our commitment going forward, and I assure you that the steps are being taken to put that into place.
As far as staff changes, are they looking at adding staff that have more experience in animal care, or manatee care in particular?
Well, we've brought in some outside experts, and we'll be working with the Manatee Rehab Partnership in establishing what we need, because right now the program has changed. The program had a resident manatee and the rehab program, and now we need to look at the program in terms of looking focused solely on rehabilitation, and look at and how we work with the Manatee Rescue and Rehab Partnership to see what we need going forward. So certainly we may change job descriptions and in our role, but we'll be working with the MRP. They are doing some strategic planning now. We'll see where we fit in, and we'll build to that.
You mentioned a week prior to Snooty's death that there were some screws loose, that you folks knew about that. Can you talk more about the communication breakdown? Were emails sent out and then people just didn't act on them?
I think that what you can do is look at the report. The report will share what we found. And I can tell you that we have built redundancies into our communication system now that will assure that that doesn't happen again.
But what exactly happened? What was the breakdown? I mean, here you have Snooty that is so loved by this community. He's not new to the museum. He's been living here for so many years. What was the breakdown in caring for this animal?
I refer you back to the report. The report addresses the breakdowns, which were communication, reporting, and there was some action, but there wasn't complete follow-through. And we have now changed all that in terms of building in new cross-training staff, building new procedures and a new reporting system that has redundancies to build that safety net so it does not happen again.
How does the museum go on without Snooty? Snooty was probably your main draw, I would think, being that he was so well known and the longest living manatee in captivity. How does it go on without Snooty?
Snooty was a draw. People loved him. But manatees are a draw. Our planetarium is a draw in our Natural History Museum. Snooty was an ambassador to manatees all over our area. He helped us tell that story. We will continue to tell that story with our rehabilitation program. But we also tell the stories of the natural history of Florida and how manatees got here. We talk about how life happened in Florida over this thousands and thousands of years, and that the manatee program will always be part of that story and studying the ecosystems today. So we have plenty of great information here to share with our public. We have changing exhibitions. We have excellent programs. You can come find out what you want to know about the world and your place in it. We have lots. We will honor Snooty's legacy with the manatee rehab program and by continuing to educate the public.
You mentioned early on that the divers inspected the panels daily during July 16th and the day that Snooty got into the tunnel. Was there new divers? Was there a different system in place? I mean, as far as the so-called daily inspections go, what happened?
Mark, I'll refer you back to the report. That the report indicates what happened. There were breakdowns. They were aware. There were some action taken, but no effective repair was put in place.
Since we're at a press conference, could you tell us what's in the report? Because I know you probably read it a few times.
We shared what was in the report today in our remarks.
Yeah, but could you answer his question without referring to seeing the report?
The staff were aware of that the panel was either loose or askew or screws missing from as early as July 16th due to breakdowns in communication and reporting and follow through. Action was taken, but no effective repair was made.
Is it known whether the panel was taken off in the previous 5 years?
The panel had not been removed, as far as we know, within the 5 years. The tank was last drained in 2010.
So having a panel that has not been removed for so many years, did the museum in its maintenance of the tank ever think, let's check this out, let's make sure it's still secure?
We have developed a new system of assessing the habitat and with our facility staff and put in place some redundancies in terms of checklists and work repair follow through, and we will assure that we were going forward, we will have a safe habitat.
So are you saying it wasn't safe prior?
I'm saying that the staff noticed some issues, as is in the report. Some action was taken, but no effective repair was made at that time.
Was the tank safe for those manatees, including Snooty, at the time of his death?
I will refer you back to the report.
But you're the leader of the museum.
I'm
We were asking you
clearly the panel needed adjustment, and it wasn't done effectively, and that made it not safe. at that time.
And when they found out that, who did they tell? And then who actually fumbled the ball?
I will also refer you back to the report because as a group, the staff had some breakdowns in communication.
Can you tell us at what level do those basic communications go from daily maintenance stuff? Does it go all the way up?
It's
to
a team. It's a team communication. Our staff work. We have so much going on here. Our staff work independently in departments, and they work cross-departmentally. And clearly, this was an isolated communication.
So can you tell us how many positions, how many people were either fired, disciplined, action taken?
Out of respect for our employees, we don't talk. We don't talk about our employment issues.
How many though? Were there several? Were there everything?
Out of respect for our employees, I don't make comments on personnel issues.
What about security? You mentioned some of the staff changes, and we asked about adding possible staff, around the clock human presence. Has that been talked about or considered at all in those conversations?
We are going to look at best practices. We have talked with the Manatee Rehab Partnership and looking at best practices in other facilities. At this time, with us being an indoor facility with security, we're considering certainly all options, but we will work and make sure that best practices are put in place according to the Manatee Rehab Partnership.
One last question? Anyone?
For those seeking like justice for Snooty, like that group that's demanding for people to get fired, what's going to happen with that? Are their voices going to be heard? Any announcements of firings or any of that?
I'll go back to my statement that as out of respect for our employees, we don't comment on personnel issues.
Can you confirm, you said staff changes, can you confirm if anybody has been fired?
Out of respect for our staff,
How does the
we don't
museum-
comment.
How does the museum plan on memorializing Snooty after this tragic accident?
Well, as Jeannie mentioned, we have a wonderful memorial plan to honor his life, his long life, on Sunday, September 10th. The event is free to the public. We're open from noon to 5. We will have a wonderful display of photos all over the dome here, as well as a video tribute to Snooty that METV is putting together for us, a documentary.
Are there special burial plans for Snooty at all?
Well, Snooty's contribution to science, being the oldest manatee in the world, is that he was necropsied and thoroughly studied. And all that information will benefit manatees all in the future. We have older manatees in facilities across the country. That information helps all of the vets that work with marine mammals such as manatees. Snooty's skeletal remains will come back here to the museum, and we will preserve and protect them.
Where is the necropsy taking place, or has it taken place already?
The necropsy was done on the day Snooty died.
Was it done here or?
No, up at the Fish and Wildlife Path Lab.
Okay. I will be around for a few more minutes if you have any questions or clarifications. Our speakers will be leaving now, but we also have a copy of the remarks with their names and titles, as well as a copy of the press release that will be going out. So that's it for the press conference.